Hey, today's video I'm going to show you how to hang a couple of doors. It's real easy. It seems so simple, but it's so easy to mess up. This is the other important thing that you need. Hinge router template right here. This is worth its weight in gold, let me tell you. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. And here's the router. I bought these at, I think it was Home Depot. They're Ryobi brand. They have other ones. Doesn't matter whichever one, but Ryobi's the only one that I saw that has this actual template. It's pretty sweet. Do yourself a favor and take the middle pin out last. Go back downstairs and take the hinges off the door now, because that door right there serves as your template for your new door. Here's my door. My template. Remember I said my template? Listen, if you're a visual person like I am and you kind of gloss over instructions or verbal instructions, and maybe you just don't get the detail stuff, because that's how I am. Listen, when I said this door is your template, just remember that. And in a couple of different ways too. When you're laying your new door on top of this, I'm going to show you how. Remember, everything lines up accordingly. The position of the hole, what side of the door the hole is on, where the hinges are, and whether they're the way that the hinges go on the door. Remember that stuff, because you can mess up a $55 door, and they're not going to return it either. Listen, these are the things that you have to remember, really, because I messed up one door years ago. You know, it was a 30-inch door, so it was more expensive. It was like 60 or 65 at the time. And I'm telling you, I cursed so much. I know I'm going to hell after as much as I was cursing. Yeah, I'm on my way. But here, look at the door now. You have to remember, this is how the door sits in the door frame. You have to remember the doorknob is on the lower part. See? The doorknob's on the lower part of the door. It's underneath the half mark, right? And these are the hinges. These are where the hinges are. So this is exactly how it goes into the door frame. If you do it upside down or backwards or whatever, it won't go in. It seems so simple, but it's so easy to mess up. And also remember which way the hinges go on, because I put those upside down one time. You want to put them in? You want to put them back in exactly like this, not like this, or, I mean, you can see the shape of it, but you can still get it backwards, so you just want to make sure you put it in. And a lot of times it's shinier on one end, but even in this case, it's kind of shiny on both sides. You can't really tell that much, but this is the way it goes in. See, I laid them down exactly how they go back on the door. The bottom, you know, facing into the doorway, and that's the position of, most of the time you don't have to like really line up or know exactly which hinge is which one, but I go that extra step. What the heck? This only goes in one way. I mean, this you can put in backwards too as well. So I'll show you that later. But I've also put that in backwards where the door wouldn't shut. But after you do it a couple times, you figure it out. But still, like, I'll show you later. Right here, you need a table. You need a table to cut on. Look at this. I got this not too long ago. What do they call it? Gorilla ladder. You know, you can stand on it, you can cut on it, all sorts of things. One of the contractors left it there. He was standing on it to, as you can see, mudding the walls and stuff. He forgot to take it with him. I forgot to call him. So I'm going to line up the two doors now. I'm going to use my old one as a template. You see, so I have the new door at the bottom here, and I have the old door sitting on top. That's gonna use that as a template, like I already said. But I'll show you some other things. This is the first time it's ever come out to where it's almost exactly the same size. A lot of times, see this? A lot of times the new door will be longer and I'll have to cut some of it off. But in this case, it doesn't look like I have to do that. This is the big part you want to make sure you have right. You want to make sure these are, exactly squared, so they're exactly laying on top of one another. Or the top one's exactly lined up perfectly. Dang door is almost the exact same size. Make sure the doorknob hole is lined up too. I mean, that's the most important part here. Look, see? This is perfect. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm gonna put some tape on it just to hold the two together so they don't move around, nudge it with your knee or something. Look here. You have to make sure this is lined up right, so you use your square. So you want to mark these because this is where you're going to use your tool there. Remember I showed you the router? Put a mark here exactly where the edges are. Like that. I like to mark, I like to put the little curve here just so I make sure that I don't do anything wrong or upside down or whatever. Because see, the curves here and here, this is going to lay on top of it. And just so I don't mess up anything. Just so I don't lay the router template on wrong. Yes, I've done that before. I've done it before. Just about everything you can do wrong, I've done it before. Okay, I have the door all marked off now, so it's laid right on top of it. Everything's lined up, the doorknob hole, and I also have the hinges marked off, so they match the existing door. Because obviously if it's not marked correctly, it's not going to hang properly and you'll never get the door to shut. There's my lines right there. And here's the shape of the template. You just place it right over that. Look. Right over the lines. See how I lined it up right perfect? Right on the two edges. Right where I marked it, and then tighten it up. Make sure it's tight, of course. And then I'm going to get my router. Hopefully you can see this. Let me look. Yeah, it looks like it. And then you just follow along this curve here. It's like a template. You just go like this, you just follow it. You know what I did? What I did the very first time was I actually did this on the old door to get used to it. Practiced on the old door. It's a very good idea, actually. I come up with them every now and then. So make sure this door is nice and steady. Look, whoops. Look, I did the edges first. Now I just have to chop out or router out the middle of it. Look at that. Perfect. Take it off. See that? That's awesome. And to think, I used to do this with a chisel, like about 5 years ago. I used to do this with a chisel and a hammer, like a Neanderthal. Look at this. Here's the hinge. Beautiful. And then try to find a hole right there in the center. You want to make sure you find the center of the hole there like this, because you're going to want to punch this with a nail or with that tool I was using to start, you know, so you have a pre-drilled hole there. I'll show you. Because you don't want this, when you screw in, sometimes if you don't go straight, sometimes the screw, you know, will go in at an angle or whatever, and then it's not gonna, the hinge might give you some problems by not going on straight like this. It might end up going like that. You don't want that, so mark off the hole where they go. I'm gonna do another one. See the lines, can you see it? Yeah. Right there, perfect. I'm just lining up right there and here. Make sure it's on there flush. Tighten it. Look at that. God, I love this tool. That went really good. Now I'm going to mark these holes again. Now remember when I mentioned you got to whatever this hole, pre-cut? No, pre-nail, pre-drill. Put a pre-drill hole in here. See? I'm using this because it's a real nice point. When I was in high school in 9th grade shop class, when you didn't use the proper tool, they called you Primitive Pete. And I'm 61, so that goes back far. Wonder if anybody knows that reference. I don't know. But this just helps make the screw go in straighter. Here's a tip for us novice folks. I consider myself still a novice because I don't do it frequently enough. Take a picture of like the door with the hinges on it and stuff, just so you remember to put it on correctly, you know, so you don't put it on like this. you know, because it matters, of course. And you know, like when you're watching this video, if you have a comment, don't bother. I'm much for comments. I just hope you like it, and I hope you learn something from it. Comments. Social media. See, it's going in nice because I have these pre-drilled holes. Oh yeah. Here's another thing. Is one time I was putting the door and the hinges on and everything, and the door didn't shut, and what I found out was the hinges weren't, when I did the drilling of the hinges using the template, the hinges, they weren't, I don't know if you could see, they weren't deep enough, so I had to make the router actually has an adjustment on it to make it you know, so it'll dig a deeper hole. So see, this is flush, and that's how I want it. I know pretty much it's gonna fit in there, but the first time I did it, some of the hinge was sticking out from the door, so it wasn't deep enough, and it won't close. The door won't shut. Believe me, after all this work, the big test is if the door, after you put the pins back in, if the door shuts, yay, you've done a good job. But sometimes you have to go back and figure out, oh, what did I do? What could I do to change it? Especially if you have an older house. I mean, I had my first house when I was doing this stuff out. The house was built in '52. So I don't think anything was standard back then. I'm gonna do the second one now. I mean, I don't really have anything against social media. I mean, this is actually social media, I guess. It's the social part of it that sometimes can be irritating. Just for some people in particular, they're so condescending in their comments. You know, back in my day, we were taught if you don't have anything nice to say, then keep your trap shut. Okay, I got those on. Now here's the door. Old door, new door. It lines up here. The hinges are on the same way. It was a nightmare the first time I found out that I didn't do it right. I had mentioned earlier, or I showed you some of the tools I needed. One of them was a skill saw, because sometimes you have to saw off the bottom of the door. But in this case, it doesn't look like I'm gonna have to. Well, here we are back in the bathroom. I want to show you something real quick. And drop it down there to the bottom. Anyway, you see the bottom of the door. If you have to cut off some of that door, the bottom, you only have, let me say about three quarters of an inch can you take off that bottom of that door. Because the door is hollow, but it has like a piece of wood going along the bottom and along the sides and the top to keep it, because it's hollow, to keep it together. And if you cut too much of it off, then you're going to give yourself more work, because you're going to have to put a piece of wood back in there. When you're putting the door back on, try to get the middle hinge in first. The pin, put the middle one in first. Oh, there's a lot of grease on these pins, so you have to be careful. Because I got some white door, and you get it on your hands, and it gets everywhere. So be careful about that. And then there's one other tool that you're going to need is this rubber mallet when you're putting the pins in. Sometimes your pins will drop right in perfectly, but 8 times out of 10 they won't. And when you get the first pin in, don't put it all the way in. Just put it in the very top, you know, and then get the next one in. And don't put them all in until they're all in, of course. And it looks like the door is actually hanging. I'm going to find out now. It's not going to close all the way. And this happens on every single door. Because the newer doors are a little wider, just a little bit. I mean, just by this much. And you see what I have to do? I have to take the door back off and I have to sand it. I have an electric sander and I have to sand this whole side. It's just enough to where I sand it and it closes perfectly. It's happened on every door in this house. Because for some reason I don't know, it might be it's just a tad too wide, that's all. I'm gonna show you what I mean. I'm gonna show you how I have to do it. And I've done it, like I mentioned, to like the last 4 doors. See this door here? That's a new door. That used to be that flat brown one. I had to do the same thing to this door. I had to sand the whole edge up and down. Luckily we were painting it. So here's my electric sander. Comes in very handy. Okay, look, success. I put the pins back in the door, and I was having a little problem. It wasn't closing all the way. It was hitting up at the top. At the very top of the door it was hitting. So I took the pins back out and I sanded with my electric sander, as you can see. And believe it or not, the damn door was still hitting the top just a little bit, just so it wouldn't close. And you know what I find out? This hinge here that was not in the door but is in the door frame, the screw is out just a little bit. So I drew all 3 screws out and I drew them back in and the door closed. So sometimes it's a simple fix like that. Crazy. Now, I'm gonna show you the doorknob. This is a bed and bath. And the other one I got was for the closet. I'm not doing that door today. But it says hall and closet because there's no lock on it or anything. So if you're getting the doorknobs, you have to watch out and make sure you're getting the bed and bath doorknobs. Look, Mom, I'm doing an unboxing video. Not really, I'll show you how to put it on. Unboxing video. People, I look at some of those sometimes, like more or less like an electronic, but got like 1 million views on it, watching some guy unbox his item. So there you go. I just unboxed it. Crazy, people got nothing to do these days. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do this now. You have to put this in here first. And you see the way it goes? It has to be able to close like that. See? If you put it like this, it's not gonna close. It has to be this way. So it slides on this angle and closes. Just make sure you do that. You line it up like that. I know it seems elementary, but believe me, see that? Just feed this through here like this. And you have this on the right angle. And you take the back. It's got to line up. See it has the screws that the screws right here, the holes, you have to make sure it lines up. So when you put the screws in, it's going to go through. Finicky. It's hard sometimes to tell if you lined up properly. Find out when you put the screws in. See, I had the screws lined up right in there and was able to get it to feed through there. Yeah. Now the last thing you have to do is just screw this in, this plate in here. Beautiful. Looks so much nicer than that brown blank, I guess you call them. See how much better it looks now. Now I have to do this door next. That's a reminder of how it used to look. Much nicer. Now I just have to paint it. And we'll be all done. If you like this video, subscribe and give a thumbs up. I hope you learned something. And if you want to see more stuff like this, go to another channel. So like I said, if you like this channel, I was just joking about go to another channel because we have other stuff that we like to do. You can check out all our other videos and stuff. This is just a one shot, you know. Every now and then we do stuff like hanging doors and stuff. But our last video that we did, we had a couple of guys here doing a cement patio right over here. You can check out that video. You should see how they did that. It's really cool. And I explained in another video before that how I did all the front yard. It seems so simple, but it's so easy to mess up.